Hi, I am Nille, and today I want to talk about baggy trousers for Vikings. Those is what we shall make on this class. They are based on the baggy trousers from High Taboo, and they have the same crotch as that. We don't know how they look down here from the archaeological find, but we know about this gusset in the back and that gusset that goes under and up on the front, like on the torso back. That's quite the same. And then one seam allowance, no, seam on the back of the leg that collects it all. Fabric is a thing here and everywhere else, but the thing you should look up for is to find fabric that are thin. I saw the originals in High Taboo and they were transparent, almost. It was like mousseline, and they have all this. It's not pleating and it's definitely not false, but it is a lot of fabric gathered together. So it's not. You see, these are not like a balloon, so it looks like our men are using divers. They are more like shaped like a pier. And that shape you can see on, for instance, stone carvings and also the Oseberg tapestry. And on the Oseberg tapestry, you don't see it's ending like this, but you can maybe see it's ending like this. Quite right over under the knee. And that is what this manchette, or what you call it, it is sitting right under the knee. So sitting a little up, so you don't see the bottom of that when you wear them. Yeah. What more? No more, I think. It's not found so many trousers, you know, from Viking time, but this is one of them, and what is left over is this part, and it's full of small structures, so it should be thinner fabric than this, really. Very thin, fine wool, and they were actually red on one side and green on the other side, so there must have been a seam here somewhere also, but I made them in one piece. So I think that's what we should do now. About the wool, take care of not using too thick wool, because then you will get a balloon trousers and not just a baggy trousers. I was in High Taboo and I looked at the originals, and the fabric was really thin. It was like mousseline. It was transparent. You could look through it for sure. And also back then, because I could see on the top of all those not sewn plissé, or how should you call them, all this structure, they were weird out on the surface. There they were quite transparent, but also in between it was transparent. It was very thin fabric, and I can also see they would never have looked like this. They would have looked like this, but with a lot of beautiful material in it. So find a wool muslin or thin, never thick. I don't have muslin, unfortunately. It will take me 3 weeks at least to get it here. So instead I found a leftover twill. It's very alive and it's too dense for my taste, but this will do for this time. Find someone that are alive, not stiff, and definitely not thick. That is the thing. You cannot, to choose which pattern sheet you should use, you have to make one measure. It's quite important, and it is from the top of your belt down under your knee shawl plus 10 centimeter. That is the length of the legs you want to have, and that is because the trousers are going a little in and under the knee, and then they are fastened with them with a little band there. And in the pattern sheet I have made lines for the length, and width in size small to 5XL as usual. The size up here is fits, but it's as important with the length, of course, especially for baggy trousers. So let's deep into it. One thing, everything is cut out with 1 centimeter, as I used to do, 1 centimeter seam allowance. And what is very important with those trousers, that is to mark your marks. I have many marks on the pattern sheets, and mark them. Normally, if it's only a few, I use safety pin. But here there's so many because we shall gather and mix and match a lot. So I have simply, instead of pins, I use just a little thread that I sew in where the marks are, and tie a little knot. They will not disappear no matter how much you mess around with this. So I think they are practical, and also, of course, I always use this when I'm sewing on market, so I don't go sitting with modern pins there. So it's a good half hour invested to make those marks. So first thing to do is to sew the front gusset in the crotch like this. The widest part is down here and the smallest is up here. I am using flat fill seam all over. It's a very strong seam because it's actually 2 seams. So, and I want the gusset to look like it's set inside the trousers, not as a patch outside. So the seam allowance shall be longest on the gusset. And then I take them out a half centimeter outside the other one. My cat is complaining. For more than a year ago, a friend of mine spoiled her with wet food, and she is still asking for that almost every day. She never give up. I give her dry food, but I think she thinks I'm a terrible mother. So it's only when he come visit she gets wet food. So now mark to mark all over, and first forward stitch, bend over, overcast stitch as usual, and then after that the other side, the other leg on. And threads in trousers I do sometimes use polyester, because there's so much stretch and so much movement in those boys, and some of them are fighters also, so it had to be a very strong seam. And I understand if you don't want that, and instead you can use double woolen thread if you are not using sewing thread. But I think I will find a sewing thread that are strong. Okay, see you in a minute. So now the front gusset are in place, and we shall add the back gusset. Here. And the widest piece is going down. And again, since I also was this gusset to sit inside the trousers, the seam allowance on this shall be the biggest one. And I have my marks, so it's easy to know where it is going. And then same seam one more time. Forward, bend over, overcast. So now with the front gusset in place and back gusset in place, it's time to gather the trousers, sew the legs. So I simply fold this one on top and this one in. So I have the legs. And again, the back gusset should be the biggest seam allowance and mark on marks. All the way down, from the top of the back gusset all the way down, with the flat fill seam one more time. On both sides. And after that we shall do all these small things on the top. All those small marks is going to be fitted into all those marks up here. And you see, of course, the distance is bigger here than here, of course. So first thing to do is to sew the waistband together. This is the front. This is the mid front. First you sew this together with the same seam, and then from the front gusset to the back gusset, on that piece we are going to make a stitch, forward stitch, with a strong thread. That thread you're going to take out after, so it doesn't matter which one it is, it had to be strong. And the mistake I see many people do out there when they make baggy trousers is they make folds like this. That is never found in any Viking context, in any sort of clothing. And it gives also this more balloon shape. Instead we are making really narrow contractions. So right now I will make a stitch 1/2 centimeter from the edge, half seam allowance, and the stitch shall not be more than 3 millimeter long. Up 3 meter, down 3 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 3 millimeter. And I will make 2 next to each other with 1 centimeter in between. That will be used to pull it together when we shall add the waistband after that. So first 2 lines of forward stitch, and they have to be exactly parallel to get this nice contractions in there. So now I've sewn those 2 lines of forward stitches on the piece around, not on the gusset but on the rest. So soon we should put on the waistband. Before we do that, I have to take this belt straps and sew them together. So I think the easiest way is just to fold in the edges and just sew with overcast stitches. When you come to the end, you fold it so the seam is in the middle, and then you overcast over here in one end. You don't have to overcast in the other end because that will be inside the waistband. Like so. So, and now this is the center front with the seam, and that I put in the middle to the marks there. Oy. And on the side of the front gusset, I put in one waistband, one belt loop. That end that are not overcasted I put in there, so there will be on the side of the godet when it's finished, right there. And also on the other side. And the same I does on the other side, where the marks are on from the back gusset, but them I put just inside. And with the seam going to the waistband, so you will not see the seam when they are finished. Here. And now you see this one is of course much bigger than the waistband. So now you match the marks. And when you do that, do not pin into these forward stitches we made. That will just make trouble. But the mark to the mark. So, and now pull these out and tie a knot. Those two together, and now pull. And when it has the same length, you put a knot here again in the other end. These two we will take out when we are finished sewing it. But for now, between each, you put them nicely even between here. And now you put the waistband right side to the right side of the legs on top, and you pull the two strings so the two width matches, the leg contractions and the waistband. And you take in now the seam allowance, and now you overcast in every top in the contraction. You put an overcast stitch, every top of it, all the way around. So now you see I've sewn this in every of those parallel pleated things, or what you will call it. It gives a very nice even distribution of the... Now I have sewn on the waistband from the right side. This is the right side, and the belt straps are in, loops are in, and now it's time to bend it to the wrong side. And now you see those two lines that I sew. Now I shall bend this seam allowance in, and then I shall attach it between those two. Fabric. This is the legs and this is the waistband. And then you turn around and you do exactly the same on the back side. Fold in the seam allowance, put it between those two lines, and sew in each of them, every one of them. Like this, all the way around, of course. And after that you take those two lines out, of course. By the way, here you can see why you should not use so thick fabric, because it's getting more like a balloon instead of this pear shape that it should have. This is bath mail, it's too thick. It was just to show the example of how to do it. So you see here, there's no folds, but it's only gathered together, almost like pleating, but there's no pleating. Folds like this are never found from Viking time. Never. Never found from Viking time. Now I have the finger in here, and then I sew it with overcast stitch on 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. And when I come up here, I sew through all of it. A few stitches around here first, and then I just simply go with forward stitch through it all. See, so you get this mark on the top. That will prevent the loop to go down when you add the belt in. And then in the end here I sew a few times around here. Then I just like that. Do the same with the other, of course. Now I've sewn with the same technique as I used in the waistband. I've sewn this manchette, or what you call it, on the legs in the bottom. You will not see that because that will be up under the knee, so the trousers will be like this. So then the trousers is finished.